Hi there. Welcome to the Tuesday Night Music Show, where sometimes we actually talk about music. Robbie's here. Robbie, turn your camera off, Robbie. We're going to do a thing here for a while. Robbie's a friend of ours. He's going to hang out. Anyway, so we've got Howie. We've got John. And we've got, to be honest, Jay. What was your other tick that you do? It's to be honest and, I'll be blunt. To be honest, I'll be blunt, Jay.
Yeah, not as much that I'll be blunt. To be honest was a bad one, though. You pointed that out to me.
We're gonna drink every time he says either I'll be blunt
no word of a lie.
or to be honest. We're gonna drink.
Up until this moment, I've been completely misinforming you of everything.
Don't forget about Road Dog.
Road Dog moment.
Oh, Road Dog. I'm drinking like the melted ice at this point.
Yeah, there's liquor in that too. If you add vodka, well, that's never mind.
What time is it, John?
I think it's time for the Boston John's record roundup for
Heck yeah, it is.
Music show.
Why don't we have music?
Yeah.
We need a bumper track for that.
I know.
Howie's working on it.
I'm
Like a
working
Casey
on it.
Kasem thing.
I'm working on it.
He was just talking about that before you came on.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So
Great
Boston
mind.
John's record roundup, new tradition we do here on Tuesday Night
Every
Music
week.
Show. Reason we added the fourth square was for John to come in and do this for us. And this is where we talk about records that we recommend to our viewers. You might just like. Maybe you use them at work for a DJ. Maybe you'll just dig them at home. So what's your record this week, John?
I had to go back to my childhood and raid my parents' collection.
Nice.
Has been incorporated
Whipped
with
cream and
mine.
other delights?
Oh, that's here. I get that for another week. I'll bring that in. I don't know if we can show the whole cover on television.
I
We
would
might have
like
to
to think
censor
we
that.
could show the whole cover. It's burned in this brain.
I can still see it. I can see
I
the
can
green.
too.
I can see the whipped cream. So we're going to go with Columbia Records here. I was looking for a date. A date would be nice because this record existed when I was young. Columbia printed. Oh, they're not going to tell
This
me.
would be what, the 90s, John?
No, we're going back. This is going to be 60s. This is going to be. It was in my house growing up, and I gave this a lot of spins.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Ooh.
Ooh, yeah.
Johnny
My
Cash,
dad-
Greatest Hits, Volume 1.
My dad probably had that too.
Mm-hmm.
It gave me Ring of Fire, Walk the Line, and I knew of these songs when I was too young to ride a bicycle playing with Legos on the floor, dropping
Sure.
the needle on this record and playing the hell out of this thing.
Nice back soundtrack.
Oh, awesome. Jackson, Walk the Line, the one on the right's on the left, Ring of Fire, It Ain't Me, Babe, Don't Take Your Guns to Town. Like all just classics.
Mhm.
People that aren't familiar with Johnny Clash, country music, pop star from back in the day.
Johnny Clash. That'd be interesting. A Johnny Cash / Clash.
Flash, yeah. A mashup.
Mashup. Johnny Clash. I like it. Should I stay or should I go mashed up with One Piece at a Time or something? Yeah.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, that would work. Train in Vain and Orange Blossom Special, right? One of those.
Right.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Smoky
Oh,
Mountain
wow,
Breakdown and
So it turns out he had a bunch of records. I was like, oh, he's not just some new guy. I guess he's been around. And my parents like to drop that one every so often when they had company over. And I just for those that don't know about him, I mean, he was proficient and prolific until the day he died.
Yeah.
His last recordings being like Great American Songbook type stuff. Even got so far as to cover Nine Inch Nails.
Yeah.
Yes. Hurt. Yeah.
Quite a substantial career and a legend, and definitely someone you guys should check out if you're not familiar with his work.
And you use them at gigs too, not just for your own personal enjoyment. It's stuff that people will request, and it's nice to know it and have a couple on hand that are appropriate. And there are plenty that are appropriate. Ring of Fire is a big
Ring of
one.
Fire. Once those mariachi horns start, everyone just runs to the dance floor. It's
Jackson was big for a minute when the movie came out.
The movie
People
came
loved
out.
to hear-
when the movie relit the
Mhm.
fire there.
I
Yeah,
remember that.
Good choice.
so that's
Great.
mine. That's
Yeah.
mine for the week.
Oh,
But
good one, John.
I did bring Mitch along. We can talk about him
Very
later.
good. I think we beat Mitch to death.
Jay, what do you got this week?
I am not going back quite as far, but I'm going.
Who is?
I am
Maybe
going.
Howie? I don't know.
I am going with an album that I don't. It's rare I say this. Granted, it's only 10 tracks,
Okay.
but there isn't a bad track on it,
Sure.
and there's probably 4 or 5 standouts on it.
Mm.
And we're going back with Mr. Neil Young to the Harvest album.
Oh, okay. Sure.
And
Yeah.
I'll just name the banger hits people may know.
Yeah.
Hard
Oh,
Gold,
man.
Old Man, Needle and the Damage
Yeah.
Done,
Yep.
Alabama, Man Needs a Maid, incredible song, Harvest.
Harvest, yeah.
And what I did not know that I found out was Heart of Gold, An Old Man. Backing vocals by Miss Linda Ronstadt and Mr. James Taylor.
Wow.
Yes, they all hung out together. Yeah.
Yeah. And they did the backing vocals on those two songs. And Neil Young is one of these artists, and I don't know how I missed it. And Brian has commented, and I think, to be honest,
gonna zap you.
I think there's something about what he has said about not having older brothers or sisters to kind of feed off of. So there's a period of the 60s and 70s music that I just went, no, I don't like that. Neil Young, I don't get him. I didn't get the Allman Brothers for a long time. I didn't get the Doors. I didn't get Hendrix. I was like, whatever. And as I've gotten older, I've really gained an appreciation for artists, singers, songwriter types like Neil Young, Crosby, Stills, and Nash, groups like that. And this album in particular, I just the song Old Man is worth the money. And then you add Needle and Damage Done and Heart of Gold.
That's a heavy song. Oh, and God.
And a side note, if you want to hear the Needle and Damage Done, which I don't think anyone could do it better than Neil, but there is a version that might rival his. And believe it or not, that would be Jewel.
Really? I've heard that. Yeah, I've heard that.
It is deep.
Yeah, I've heard it.
She is just giving you everything. And it's not a vocal run thing. You can just feel the emotion on it. It's just such a captivating performance and such a great track.
It is. Goosebumps right now from my days at
like an old soul.
Because at Max's, I was just, I was still a teenager, and I saw the Needle and the Damage Done, and I was like, want nothing to do with it.
Well, I think he wrote it. It's a New York track.
Yeah.
I think he wrote it through. He lost a friend to heroin, and I think it was in New York. And I think because when you hear it, he talks about the cellar door. And or the basement door or whatever, I always picture the Lower East Side in the 70s.
Yeah. Yes.
You know what I mean? Like that dirty, grimy, drug-infested kind of thing.
It was.
Yeah.
It was. Yeah.
He's a great picture teller through song. Like you can see his songs.
When I was a kid, I mean, of course I knew Heart of Gold and all that stuff, but my brother and my mother were crazy about the album Live Rust.
Oh, that's
and it got played on repeat in my brother's car and just around the house. And when I was a kid, it was a storytelling album to me. I'm like, okay, I want to see the movie now. Like it was the soundtrack. Like I'm hearing Sugar Mountain and stuff, and I'm thinking it's all related because it all kind of felt like it might be, But yeah, cool stuff.
I just remember hearing him mention Johnny Rotten.
Yep.
Because that album came out when I was in high school. And BCN and COZ played it a lot in Boston, but it was hearing that line and just going, wait a second, I know who Johnny Rotten is because I'd already been into the Sex Pistols. I'm like, why are they talking about Johnny Rotten? Who's this Neil Young? And most grunge bands consider him the godfather of grunge. Much the same way any real punk band owes a huge debt of gratitude to Johnny Cash. Because without Johnny Cash, you don't have modern day punk.
The only difference between Johnny, I don't know. I don't like that. And I tell you why I don't like that. Because Johnny could play his guitar.
Well, no, it's not that level. It's his middle finger to the world kind of thing.
He was sort of black attitude.
Anti-everything.
I would say more, he would be more like a goth hero than a punk hero.
Yeah, but it's funny because, and I'm basing my statement a lot on Mike Ness of Social Distortion, who said, without Johnny Cash, you don't have us or the Sex Pistols or the Clash. He really started that whole buck the system, question things through his music. And I think Neil Young did that for grunge.
On Live Rust, I think he did a song. It was Hey, Hey, My, My. Then he did a reprise, Hey, Hey, My, My. Or My, My, Hey, Hey, and Hey, My, My. Hey.
Yeah.
And I thought Johnny Rotten
and the other one Dozen or something.
I thought Johnny Rotten was a character in whatever movie the soundtrack was from.
Well,
I didn't think it was a real guy. I didn't know
rock and roll will never die, and he mentions Johnny Rotten.
Right.
When Kurt Cobain killed himself, one of the lines in his suicide note that he left was, "It's better to burn out than fade away."
Yeah.
And people gave Neil crap about that, meaning like, hey, what's this all about? Because Neil Young had reached out to him because he thought he was really depressed, and sadly, before he could get to him, he killed himself.
So Howie,
Yeah.
you gotta pick a happy one now.
Actually, I'm going to pick the one that I was going to use last week, but Jay couldn't make
Oh,
it.
that's right. That's right. You had one for Jay.
Oh,
Jay, this is for you and your
I'm
son
excited.
Colin.
Okay.
Okay. And it came through my feed and I took a deep dive into it. And it's from 1987. And the album is A Momentary Lapse of Reason.
Oh, I love that album, Pink Floyd.
It's the first Pink Floyd album that was made after Roger Waters quit the band.
Yeah.
So David Gilmour took over lead vocals and writing and so forth like that. And little known fact about that, the song I'm picking off that album is Learning to Fly. And both Nick Mason, who was the drummer, and David bought a plane together, a single prop plane like your son has.
Yeah.
And they're doing the album and the engineers are there. Everybody else shows up and they go, "Where's David?" And Nick says, "Oh, he's learning to fly."
Huh.
And, and it's like one of the things that got me is part of the verse is can't keep my eyes from the circling sky. And I thought of you and your son. So
yeah, that's a great track.
learning
it's a
to fly.
fantastic album.
Now-
that has Dogs of War in it, right? One
Yes.
Slip, Terminal Frost.
But the thing is,
turning away. Yeah.
Yeah.
that there's all these, everybody interprets art differently. And a lot of people are like, oh, this is a song about, breaking away from something and you're learning to, and they're like,
No,
they
it's
interview
Learning
them.
to
They
Fly.
go, no. The
literal,
song is,
yeah.
we bought an airplane and we're learning to fly. That's what the song is about. That was
Don't
it.
you love that though? When they get the artist and they're like, everyone worships this track because they know it's about the sense of God and enlightenment. Blah blah blah. And they go, no, I wrote that about a diner. I was waiting for pancakes.
Yeah.
No. That analogy of waiting for pancakes. You were talking about the spirit of the holy. No. I was literally waiting for pancakes. I was at a Denny's. I was in Idaho,
Right.
just sitting there.
There you
Like,
go.
what? It's not that deep. It's like
just about
no.
their hobby.
Learning to fly.
It was.
Yeah.
Say that.
Professor
Just
Rock just
about their
did something on
hobby.
this record too. Yeah, it was maybe like a week ago. He put up a thing talking a little bit about this. So if you guys tune into Professor of Rock, great
Yeah, I like
great
it.
channel to subscribe to.
Yeah,
Very
that's
informative.
Was it on there too?
Yeah,
Because
he
I
did.
saw it on the Prague channel. Yeah.
it's an underestimated album.
They used to play the hell out of that Learning to Fly track on MTV. I mean, like, it's like every hour on the hour doing. Oh, there it is again.
Yeah, great video for it too.
I thought One Slip
Yeah.
was a better track.
Well, that was the one that got a lot of attention on.
Yeah,
MTV.
but that would not have fit with my theme for you and your son.
No,
Colin.
not at all. Yeah, no,
Right.
That's Nor would Terminal Frost.
Well, that whole momentary lapse of reason thing.
And that's one of the most underrated
Yeah.
instrumentals on the face of the earth.
Yeah.
You oddly enough, this week I also have something for Jay,
All right.
and
Love it.
it's funny. I had forgotten that you were doing a thing for Jay. I was trying to think of something to do for Jay or something to do this week. I thought, this would be good for Jay. I'm going to recommend this stuff to Jay. I'm actually going to introduce you to a series of records
Oh,
Ooh.
that are compilation records, and I was only aware of them on compact disc because they were released in the mid '90s. But I just happen to have the records here to show and tell.
of course.
So
Show
here
and tell.
here is the first one. This is a Latin hip hop bass boom, and this is freestyle essentially. This is the first one, and it's got tracks on here like Shannon Let the Music Play, which you know, and
Yep.
also Cover Girls Show Me the Nest mix. This is the first one, but it did well, so they did a part 2, which is really good as well. It's very worthwhile. It's got Noel Silent Morning on it. It's really good. But my favorite one, my absolute favorite, is Bass Bomb 3. This is the one that if you put it in your car stereo, if you still have a CD player, you can't get it out because it's so good.
Wow.
It's
Wow.
really, really good. It's got Dino Summer Girls on it, which is a tune that, I don't know, people should talk more about. It's a fantastic song. It's got Expose on it. It's chock full of stuff. It's absolutely wonderful. Really, really,
Wow.
really, really good. So
This
check
is the
out.
opposite. This is the opposite of what you said last week about you had compilations, and then the second one wasn't as good as the first. Now you're saying the third one is the best.
I think number one had two of the best songs on it, which is Shannon's Let the Music Play and the Nest mix of Cover Girl Show Me. But this has got Trenier on it. The second one has Will to Power on it. They're really, really good. So if you had these 3 CDs, you would have all of your essential freestyle. Stevie B even turns up on this stuff.
George Lamond?
No, George Lamond. I told you, he's not my dude, and he's not on this collection.
All right. That's just the rumor I keep hearing.
It's
you say Brian Red, you say George Lamond.
He's not the guy.
And I don't like Star Wars.
No. Every Latino with a quinceañera will tell you it's all about Little Susie, Take Me in Your Arms. And it's not on either one of these. It's an essential track, but it's not my jam. I also love Corona's Temptation. I think it's a great song, but this is a really, 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 really good way to get familiar with freestyle. And I think it's a nice collection to just have on hand.
Yeah.
They're all available for download. I was on Amazon looking at this stuff.
I see. I looked them up. They're on Amazon. Yeah.
Yeah. They're really good.
They've got 4 on Amazon.
I don't have the 4th one, and I'm not familiar with the 4th one, but these 3 are solid as a rock. The first one, Shannon Let the Music Play, and like I said, Cover Girls Show Me, the Nest mix. It's got to be the Nest mix of that song. Those are great. But
can I ask a question, Jay? You looked it up. Can you buy the CD instead of just downloading?
I know you can. You can.
Oh, okay. Because the download is variable bitrate. You never get 320.
No, not with VBR. You need CBR, the constant bit rate.
I mean, if you really wanted to be fun, you could probably go to Discogs and get it used. That would probably be an option. In fact, if I select buy CD,
they give them 4 stars, except for Volume 4. They only give 2 stars too.
I have no idea what's on Volume 4. Let me look.
Say It's Gonna Rain by Bob Rosenberg. Take a Chance.
No, Say It's Gonna Rain is Will to Power. That's really dope.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was looking at the writer, not the artist.
Well, Bob Rosen, he's my Facebook friend.
Will to Power. Yeah.
I'm saying Sapphire Boy. I've been told.
Trenier. Can't Stop the Beat. Bad to the Heart. George Lamond. Finally. Inside Out. The Cover Girls. You're the One by Denise. Expose. Let Me Be the One. Stevie B.
That's a great song. And what are you looking at?
I'm looking at on All Music, Bass Bomb 4 or Freestyle Latin Hip Hop.
Oh, I'm looking at Freestyle Greatest Beats 4, and it's actually really good. So I'm on the wrong one.
This is the Bass Bomb.
Bass Bomb 4. Yeah, I don't know Bass Bomb 4.
Where Are You Tonight by Coro. Leave It All Behind by Tolga. Taylor Dane, Tell It to My Heart. Yo, Little Brother.
Great song.
Thomas.
And it's got to be a great mix on there, too.
Yeah. It's so funny now that I include Taylor Dane, and if I do play freestyle, like the 24-hour set, I played a couple of Taylor Danes, and I didn't think of her at the time as freestyle. I just thought of her as an artist.
Well, there's her 12-inch mixes are big reek of freestyle.
Yeah.
Prove Your Love and Tell It to My Heart. The radio edits, they don't so much, but yeah, it's good stuff.
Yeah,
but anyway,
awesome. Thank you.
Those are good ones.
Awesome.
Because I know that's a genre that you often just say.
You know what, I suffer with it. I'm not going to lie. It's not a genre I'm super into. So you end up buying the bangers. So you end up playing 2 or 3 bangers, and you're like, okay. And you pray no one runs up with like, oh, the hostess of the party loves this. Keep going. And you're like, A
lot of the tracks you mentioned on 4 are really good, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But see,
really
I don't know that. Like, I'm looking at even the artists going like, okay, I mean, I've heard these names or some of them, but they're not tracks that resonate with me. Like, oh, this is a great track.
Maybe I'm going to have to try to find 4 now, because that sounds really nice. I didn't think it was as solid.
It's weird that All Music only gives it 2 stars, and all the other ones, they give 4 stars, though.
Yeah, I don't know why.
Let Me Be the One's kind of down tempo. Your Little Brother's kind of hip hop more. I mean, maybe it's just drifting from the genre a little bit. I mean, I bought all those on 12-inch when they were around the first time.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the other weirdo part about, I think it's unique to 3. 1 isn't like that, but 3 definitely, I don't think 1's like that. 3 definitely is. All the tracks are connected. Like, but just like you could play it and there's no break, but it's all like, slam fades on everything. It's not like they're beat mixed together.
Okay.
If that makes sense to you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So for some reason they did that on 3, but 3 is still really, really good. And for the longest time, that's the only place I had tracks like Dino's Summer Girls, which is a fantastic song. But anyway, sorry, that's just what I was going to throw out there.
I appreciate
That's a good one.
Yeah. Well, and it's definitely something a DJ like me or anyone else that's going to be playing this could make the investment and say, I'm covered. because it's difficult in most genres to be able to find 3 CDs and go, I can think of probably some hair metal. I could put 3 CDs together and go, you're set with this.
Yeah.
You don't have the Shark Island, but you got Great White, you got Doc, and you got this, you got that. You'll be okay.
Something about a shark, it's there, so you'll be fine.
There's at least one white group, whether it's White Zombie, White Lion, White Snake.
Sure.
No,
White Tiger.
A good night for you, Jay. You got 4 presents.
I'm telling you, man, this is doing well.
Early Christmas. Yeah.
No, but
awesome.
Yeah, just something for those of you who just don't know, and for those of you watching, this kind of stuff is very popular to this day at Latin parties. If you are on the West Coast, you can do an hour of this stuff, and they'll love you. If you are in the Midwest, like I am, you can do a set of this, and they'll love you. You don't want to do an hour of it, but you could probably have a freestyle party like out in Los Angeles. It's still very hot.
Oh yeah,
relevant, and people dig it. So,
and it's the kind of thing you start to play, and you find out people are much more into than you think they are.
Yes,
because I don't think they know what it is. Like you get a lot of the older. I'm just going to be blunt. I get an older white crowd. I said I'm going to be blunt. I didn't say I'm going to be honest.
You remixed it.
There you go.
I did. Well, because of what I'm going to say. And that is you get the 40 plus older white women out there and you drop some of these tracks and they have a remembrance of, oh, this was banging back in the 80s when I was out partying. Or something.
Well, what's crazy is a lot, and I was talking to Art about this because we're playing, Expose and Lil Susie and stuff at these quinces. And I'm like, and Stevie B, I was like, how are we doing this? How are we getting away with this? He says, you don't understand. These kids have been hearing these songs at parties before they could walk. So they know them. They're party songs. So it's not like they remember them from the first time around, but they remember them from all the family parties because that's what you play. So they're just staples now in the Latin community.
Got it.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, makes sense.
So what else you want to talk about this week?
It's a good question.
Nah, I was kind of lost on it this week. I didn't know what to do. I mean, there's stuff we could talk about, but I didn't have like a direction particularly. I thought maybe we just find one.
Well, I want to just say that, and I said this to Colin the other day, they were showing that Taylor Swift won every category she was nominated in for the American Music Awards. And I'm not a huge American Music Awards follower, but apparently Taylor Swift has 40 of them. So this is really the American version of kind of a smaller Grammys, if I'm not too far off the mark. And,
I can't keep my awards straight.
Her tickets, like there was a big mess up with Ticketmaster last week for her tour.
Right.
She's doing 10 shows out here at SoFi. I mean, SoFi's 60,000 people. So, she's obviously bigger than I anticipated because I play 1 or 2 tracks. But it's really funny today how the music model for the industry is so different. Like in our heyday, no one could do 10 65,000 seat shows. And now Taylor Swift is.
They exposed that fiasco. And what it was is they have bots. These companies that are resellers have bots that go on there and they will flood the system and buy as many tickets as possible. And some of them are going for $20,000-$30,000 resale.
That's where I was working too. That's what shocked me. 26. A girl said I can get married or go see Taylor Swift for 26.
Right. And the reason that people are so mad is because the true fans, they can't even get the after set because there's no tickets left to sell to the fans.
No,
it was all bought up by bots or millionaires.
And we're seeing this more and more. Adele, her Vegas residency, I think she was a year late starting, and there was a lot of videos going up of like, I'm the biggest Adele fan. You have no idea, but Adele, I don't have $3,500 to sit in the first 5 rows of your show, but I've gone to all these other shows. Why can't your price come down? And John and I talked about this. I'm not the biggest Aerosmith fan, but I've seen them a lot. I've seen, variations of the band a lot. I'm not going to spend $285 to sit in the very last row of a 5,000 seat venue.
Right.
And it's insulting to me because they're not playing to their fans at that level. They're playing to the guy and girl in Vegas who are like, want to go see Aerosmith? They're only going to play their big hits that you know.
Yeah.
You're gonna know all 18
The greatest
songs,
hits package.
15 songs,
Yeah.
and it's gonna be $3,000 to go see them. I kind of don't like when bands go down that road. New York is the rare exception. I think Billy Joel plays Madison Square Garden.
Yeah.
Like he does a 5 or 10 night stretch there every year.
Yes.
Different artists will go to the Beacon Theater and do like 12 or 13 shows in a row. That's playing to your fans because the fans are going to
Yes.
come and see you.
Mhm.
And I just think the music model today is switched on so many levels that artists are just being catapulted to fame where, because of streaming, I don't know if they really have earned it.
Do you remember me telling you about the Prince concert I went to at the United Center?
Yes.
And it was before Stevie was born. And the way it worked is I called immediately when the tickets went on sale, just started speed dialing it. And I got in, it took like 3 times, and I got 2 vouchers. And what I had to do when I got to the United Center in Chicago, I had to give them a number or something and show my identification. My number was connected to that, my driver's license or my name anyway. Then they gave me 2 tickets. I wasn't allowed to leave and come back though. I was already in a gated area and I went straight to the entrance.
Right.
Now that sounds fair. That sounds fair because a bot didn't buy those tickets and resell them.
We wanted fans there,
Right.
And he got them. He filled the place.
Who is it? Billy Joel doesn't sell the first 5 rows.
The first 2.
First 2 rows will not sell those tickets.
He sends people to the nosebleed seats, the real fans with the signs and everything, and brings them down.
Yeah.
That's how Stevie got like right in front from McCartney, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Stevie and Eris were like right in front from McCartney. They were like right next to him.
Wow.
They were in lawn seats.
Well, I think I told you guys when I saw Pearl Jam, we were in like the 7th row at Universal Amphitheater, which is no longer there, but it was an outside, like the Bowl in Hollywood and all that. You're an outside venue.
Mm.
And I remember commenting to the guy I went with, I was like, wow, these are great seats. He goes, yeah, I got them on the fan club. The longer you're on their website fan club, the better tickets you can get.
Mm.
And we were in the parking lot and 2 guys were that had seen them 2 nights before and they were going to the next 3 shows. And they were fans from like day one. They were in the 2nd row. They paid $25 a ticket. Pro Jam was notorious for, remember there was a whole controversy with Ticketmaster and Pearl Jam back in the day. They didn't want to use Ticketmaster at all.
Right,
they were like,
right.
no. We'll sell our own tickets. The same way we'll record our shows. That night we walked out, they were selling that night on CD for $10. And when they played the Boston Garden a few years ago, they sold out 3 nights in a row and they decided we're going to do every song we've ever released plus some other ones.
You were telling us about that a
3
couple
nights.
weeks ago.
Yeah. So if you're a real fan, you can go get those.
You can go all 3 shows.
All 3 shows and never see a repeat.
Never see a repeat
Right.
track. They weren't going to do Jeremy 3 nights in a row. And I kind of miss those days of music where it was exciting for groups. It's sort of like, and I think, Brian, it was you that brought it up, the concept of the encore is kind of lost. Like, they already have it on the list. Like, the encore should be because this crowd really crushed it.
It's been that way for a long time.
It totally has.
Yeah.
And I look back at the high school concerts versus today, everything is so worked out. There is no more like, oh, I can't believe he jumped into the audience. He did because there was 7 securities. It's like on TV when they knock on the door and the guy opens it and they step back and it's like, oh my God, I'm so surprised. No, you're not. There's a cameraman in your living room. You're really not that surprised. There's a guy with a camera. You have a microphone on. How surprised could you be?
But you know what? That's showmanship. I mean, that's the kind of stuff that we do every week. If we make it look easy, we make it look random. Even when I'm emceeing, I say things in a way where it sounds like it's off the hat, but it's very premeditated. Right. Some of the, I've talked about the comedians before. Some of the best comedians do that same thing. It sounds like they're going off on a rant, but this stuff is all meticulously planned out.
Yeah.
They're not falling apart. They're not freaking out. No, they know exactly what they're doing. It's performance.
I would like to think that Vegas someday, and I've had this talk with you, Brian, I know I've had it with Christian, and we said, when the DJ craze dies down in Vegas, and it hasn't quite yet, they're still commanding a lot of money. They're still selling out Hakkasan. It's still a thing. But I was there in 2008, 2009 with a buddy of mine, Spencer and Nick. We were hard pressed. We went and saw DJ Sprite at the Palms, we could not find a non-open format DJ playing in Vegas that night. We had to search for house music because we wanted like a house set, and everyone was open format. Then it all went to house. It's kind of back to open format. But I said to Christian, I can't wait for the day when we go to a bar a block or two off the strip and they have a big DJ who's just DJing. They're not doing their show. There's no fire. There's no flames. There's no, champagnes popping. It's a bunch of people in T-shirts and jeans that love what they're doing and are just there to enjoy the music. And I'm hoping big artists will maybe come to their senses and go, you know what? We're going to get a residency at the Tropicana in a room that holds 1,000, and we're going to play 4 nights a week, and we're going to do this for a couple of months or 3 months, and really do a residency where I could go and be within 100 feet of the stage and really enjoy a band's performance.
Enjoy it, yeah.
I will address that, but first I have to go back 5 minutes when you were talking about the encore, because I had something I wanted to say about that before you forked off on us.
I saw a squirrel.
You did. So,
Forking A.
What Jay was talking about with the encore is I think I was telling a story where I went to go see The Time in Chicago at the Park East. And it's a long story, but anyway, I was right up front and I was looking at the stage and I could see the set list and it said clearly on their encore Jerk Out. And then when they came out to do the encore, people were yelling every song but Jerk Out. And I started yelling Jerk Out to support the band. And everybody else started yelling it with me and they played it. So that's what Jay, and that was back in like 94 or something like that. But when it comes to encores though, I do a genuine encore when I'm doing a performance. If I do it, it's a very genuine encore. I don't usually premeditate it. If after the last song, they want more, I guess I just kind of try to feed off of that. I'm not holding back a banger for the encore. I used to.
Yeah.
Back in the old days, I used to, but I don't anymore. I really genuinely don't know what to do for the encore. And I just try to feed off the audience and do it. So I'm doing genuine encores.
Well, and we've talked about that. I started ending, out here, it's because I'm outside, noise variance, a lot of places are 10 o'clock, which means the venue really wants you done by 10 of at the latest. Sure. So I started saying, I'm going to end at quarter of.
Right.
And if the crowd's going nuts for one more, I can satisfy the crowd, still end early, and have everyone think. I tried doing it your way, and I got so thrown, I couldn't come up with anything.
It's hard.
I switched. It's super hard. So I started loading Queen, Don't Stop Me Now, Mr. Brightside, and something else in the prepare list. Right. That if I knew I was going to try this end 5 minutes early routine, I needed to know I had some heavy artillery in the background.
Sure.
Just in case. Because when they start going one more, and you're like, what? I've played
swinging.
I know I got 80,000 songs, but for some reason, I am completely drawing a blank as to what would be a great cherry on this Sunday.
It's hard. It's hard.
Super hard.
It is.
For me, those of us not at your level, we got to play.
No, I'm not suggesting I'm better.
Tracks in. I'm just saying.
I'm not suggesting I don't fumble it because I do sometimes.
Yeah,
sometimes I don't know. What do you want to hear, guys? And then they'll start screaming stuff at me. And if they say so, that might be interesting, I'll play it. Or I'm like, you know what? That's not a bad song, but I think this would be better. Then I'll play it.
I did one where I ended with New York, New York to see if I'll do the kick line. Well, apparently I was in the wrong state because they didn't quite get the whole kick line of New York, New York.
We haven't done that in a long time.
And I think my recovery was Dramarama, anything. And that kind of got them. I was like, I'm really looking great. I had a great night all night until I blew it with Frank Sinatra meets Dramarama.
Oh my God. And the last time I had a chorus line at a gig, holy crap, how long ago was that?
Oh, dude. Welcome to California. That's not their thing either. Go back east. No, they love a good piano man.
They do. Big circle on the floor. They're all arm in arm, swaying back and forth.
They'll do it here too, but it's not. It used to be a staple. It was like a group active song you play.
Well, it's like Paradise by the Dashboard Light. I haven't played that in probably 15 years. And that was the same thing. I was like, this is great. I'm going to sneak out for a smoke, just put play and let these kids have their way. Yeah, literally, like go to the store, come back, eat something, read a paper.
Is it done yet? Stop right there. Oh, it's not done yet.
I heard someone yell, let me sleep on it. Okay, I know I've still got time left.
Right.
Jeez.
I'm sorry. What did you mention after the encore? It was something else.
About having bands do actual residencies where it's not just for the money.
Oh, yeah.
Tourism.
Right.
They're genuine. And I hate to say this, but the reality, they should probably do them in their own town. Like Aerosmith should probably do a residency at the Orpheum for a month or two and let the actual town come see them. The same way bands in the Midwest should do it in the Midwest. You go to Vegas, you're going for the money that comes and goes from Vegas because it's so transient.
Sure.
People are.
Well, we were talking about that the other night. I think it was on Howie's show, or perhaps it was after his show, where Carlin was talking about how he goes to Stevens Point, Wisconsin. He doesn't do Vegas because people aren't really committed in Vegas. We could go gambling, we can go to the buffet, we could do this, we do that, or we can go see this guy. Where when you're going, to, I don't know, Lake Placid or something, people are committed. They bought the ticket. They're making an evening of going to see you. Right. So it's kind of a big deal.
Well, they are definitely committed in Lake Placid when it's 30 below. Yeah, they're committed if they're outside dancing. I'm telling you that.
Well, I would think someone like Jack White, if anyone is going to do it, my prediction is someday Jack White will open the Jack White Theater in Detroit. And Jack White it'll become like they'll do the Branson, Missouri model.
Right. I was just going to say
the has-beens
yeah.
who have a theater. And I mean, I hate to say it, even at my young age, if I went to Branson, Missouri, there's probably not one theater I wouldn't be excited to go see. I grew up watching the Osmonds. I grew up, with Jim Stafford, Spiders and Snakes. I'd be excited to go see some of those acts. And I'm kind of thinking...
I think you're alone on this one, Jay.
Apparently.
That ain't what it takes.
You won't catch
there you go. Thank you, John.
We are about 30 seconds away from Mother Jugs and Speed references.
Well, one of the classic films. That Harvey Keitel, what an actor. Let me tell you. You thought he did his best work in Taxi Driver. No. No.
I'm just saying. I'll tell you what, all these residency clubs have.
I think that was it, Brian. I'm just saying. I think that was the other expression. I beat to it.
It could be. I don't know.
One of the many.
But what I will say is that a lot of these residency clubs that you're talking about, I think they all have one thing in common, in my opinion. And this is my opinion. I don't know if anybody shares it or not. The cool people aren't there.
You're right. Yeah. It's only people with the money.
People with the money. The people with the money were never the cool people.
They want to impress the girl. Hey, I'm taking to see Aerosmith front row. Yeah, it's only $3,000 a ticket. You know,
and we're going to hear just the songs that you know in the last 25 years.
Right.
And Aerosmith is probably not a good example because they're a little old to pull this off. But I'll tell you, if they came out, if they want to know who the fans are and if they could sell, instead of selling VIP access and meet and greet access and all this, extra money stuff, which most bands do now. I saw Wasp is on tour. For an extra $100, you get a Q&A with Blackie Lawless. One concert, there was like 6 people there. It's still $600. Blackie.
I haven't heard that name in a long time.
Yes, Blackie's back on tour.
Blackie Lawless.
Oh, it gets better.
Wow.
It's his 40th anniversary, and he's doing Animal Like a Beast on the tour. A song he hasn't done in like 30 years.
Don't you think Blackie might be a little bit embarrassed if only 3 people showed up?
Well, I think he's also counting $300 towards whatever bills Blackie's like accumulated. And by the way, he still sounds like the smartest guy that came out of that scene. He's incredible.
I've seen Wasp. I saw them.
I've seen him a couple times.
I saw them open for Kiss for the Animalized tour.
Oh, they do the blood and all that.
Yeah.
I took Michelle to see him when they had the girl on stage who was strung up, and Blackie went over with a sword, and just blood gushed everywhere. And my wife just looks at me and goes, "Like, really?"
Well,
it's all part of the song. The song's about torture. I'm trying to justify Wasp.
Right. It worked for Alice Cooper. So hey,
you were mansplaining.
It's all about dominance.
Yeah, I just
mansplaining. Is that what you were doing, Jay?
Well, yeah, because the first time I saw him, they headlined with Armored Saint because Metallica at the Channel. Lars Ulrich got stopped at Logan Airport because his visa expired because Peter Mensch, and the other guy that were Metallica and Def Leppard's managers.
Q Prime, right?
Q Prime, because Rick Allen had lost his arm. Q Prime was so caught up with Def Leppard that when Metallica went on tour that January with Wasp and Armored Saint, the first show was the Channel in Boston, and Lars's visa had expired because he wasn't a citizen. So I hung out at the bar with Cliff Burton and Kirk Hammett, like in a sandwich, talking. Bought them both a beer.
I just
nicer guys.
I just remember going to that show. I remember this is probably a neither here nor there story, but
I can't believe you saw Kiss.
I've seen Kiss a couple times.
You saw Wasp.
Well, that
Kiss
too.
multiple times. Yeah. That was the first time
I knew you, man. Wow.
The first time I saw Kiss was Animalize. But what had happened was my brother was in the Army at the time, and he was going to come home on leave, or come see, not really home, come see us on leave. He never lived with us, but come see his parents on leave. So my mom, my mother, being the sweetheart she is, well, I'm going to find a concert that's going on while he's in town, so Brian and Dan could go see a show. So she finds Kiss in Madison. We had to go to Madison to go see it. And he was at the time very, very into the military thing. And of course, Mom was cool enough to get us the tickets, and that was really sweet of her. And we go there. And this was back when my brother was really righteous and got triggered by stuff really easily.
Oh.
And yeah, Blackie gets on the mic and he's like, I just want to say that your parents are your worst effing nightmare. They're, going on about how bad everybody's parents were.
Yeah.
And my brother is like tweaking, he's got his, military haircut and, oh God, I'm hiding my face. My 14-year-old self is doing that.
I was going to say you had to be about 12 or 13.
Well, I don't know. It was
Animalize
13 or
like 84, 80.
13, I guess. I was 13.
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember that. So Blackie made me uncomfortable, put me in an awkward position.
Still haunted.
That's all I got to say
40,
about that.
40 years later, Brian still haunted by Blackie Lawless.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Blackie put me in a weird position. I remember that.
Well, I'd
forgotten about it until you said Blackie. Now you brought it all back. Thanks a lot.
Air.
PTSD is back.
Back to therapy you go.
Yeah.
Trigger. It's a trigger.
They're still on tour. I got to see Kiss's farewell tour back in 1999 with
Which
Ted
one?
Nugent.
Oh, that one. I remember that.
Yeah,
I saw
Nugent
multiple
and,
farewell tours with Kiss.
Yes.
Sebastian Bach's old band.
I saw like
Skid Row?
Skid Row and Ted Nugent with Kiss. And I'm like, this is the last time anyone's going to see him. That's 1999.
Yeah, whatever.
Fast forward.
Yeah.
2022.
Never say goodbye. They're still saying
Still
goodbye.
on tour.
I saw them
little
several
piece
times.
of trivia. Piece of trivia. They have more farewell tours than they have albums. Little known fact.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I believe that.
Yeah,
Up,
they were
up
back
until
in,
like Animalize, I could name every album. I had every album up until Animalize. I had Animalize. I don't think they've done Psycho Circus is the last one I can even think of.
Yeah.
Animalize is the last one I can remember that
Monster.
got any attention.
Animalize have Tears Are Falling on it, or is
Tears
that
Are Falling with Animalize.
Animalize? Yeah, that's a good album.
Yeah, it is.
I like that album.
And then
Yeah,
Kiss, Lick It Up was, Lick It Up and that stuff.
That's the Vinnie Vincent and that whole period.
No makeup, big deal.
Yep, that was a big deal.
Videos.
Then they luckily got rid of Vinny, who was a psychopath.
Or Benny.
Yeah. Still
Just misunderstood. Yeah.
Oh, have you seen the videos of him in the last couple of years, John?
Oh, I know. He was crazy. Yeah.
He's even crazier.
We saw Kiss several times in the mid 90s. They kept coming back for farewell tours.
Yeah.
And I think this is all.
Have you seen the original lineup? That's the farewell tour.
Yes.
It was actually
Peter,
Ace, Gene, and Paul.
Yeah. So we saw before Stevie was born and after Stevie was born. And it was nice, the original lineup. And then they even had I think they had Peter Criss do Beth.
Yeah, he did Beth when I saw him.
Yeah. And then they had Ace really do New York Groove. It was really nice.
Yeah. He did Shock Me,
cool.
New York Groove. I think that's it. That's really the only two that I can even.
Well, I mean, but they broke off and did those things. It was nice.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's okay. I just found out that Kiss is now, especially with Gene Simmons, who famously doesn't drink alcohol or do drugs.
Yeah,
they're now introducing
vodka,
cold gin. No, cold
nice.
Gin. Yeah,
nice.
Could be Ace's baby all day long.
Have you ever heard Peter Gass?
I should have had my own weed line.
Yeah,
marijuana.
Yeah,
right.
Because I don't smoke it.
Because I don't smoke pot. So
that's all you'd have to say. Because I don't smoke it. So that's why I have so much weed for you to buy.
Right.
There's a guy named, I think, Peter Gass or Craig Gass.
I didn't smoke it.
And he does an incredible Gene Simmons. But the thing he does with it is every time he speaks, he goes, "This is Gene Simmons of Kiss." He always throws in the Kiss. So no matter.
Oh, you mean not the attorney at law? Okay.
Right,
guy.
exactly. So in case you're confused, I think that's the guy that did my bagel the other day at Brugger's. No, this is Gene Simmons of Kiss. Like, oh God, it is Gene Simmons of Kiss. He
that
said he's
guy.
of
He
Kiss.
said so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Kiss
Like-
diapers.
Kiss windshield wipers. You name it, he put his name on it.
We've
Shit.
got it.
I got to tell
Want to
you,
have the demon on the windshield? 'Cause
of
this
all
is
the
Gene
merch they ever put
of
out,
Kiss.
the pinball machine is the best.
That was a good one.
Oh, the
Pinball-
coffins even. Jesus.
Oh my gosh!
I remember being a little kid and hearing how Kiss was, Knights in Satan's service, and they were evil
Oh, yeah.
and all this stuff.
No, they're
And then
Right.
in the next minute, I'm watching Saturday morning cartoons, and they're advertising Kiss action figures for kids.
Yeah, and there
Yeah.
were lunchboxes and everything. Yeah,
I think they were like in a Happy Meal or something one time.
They
Yeah.
wanted,
Really?
they did, remember they did the
This is evil. Okay.
they did the comic book, and the story was there's video of them like literally getting a little pinprick and dropping their
You make to make the
blood.
red and
Yes.
the red dye.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that by
that was a
getting the
collector-
comic
a
book, you're getting
collector's
red
item.
blood.
blood.
Yeah, it was a limited run collector's item, and now it's worth a fortune. Yeah,
Absolutely.
That too.
Yeah.
And if you ever want to see a Kiss museum, John Five, formerly of Marilyn Manson, formerly of now Rob Zombie, now a member of Motley
Motley
Crue,
Crue,
because
yeah.
that tour made enough money where they're going to rip that thing around the world for the next 20 years too. He has a massive collection, like rivals anybody but Gene.
Kiss dolls?
Oh, of everything. Oh,
Yeah.
blankets, lunchbox, you name it. And
Yeah.
But-
quick trivia, Dimebag Darrell was buried in a Kiss coffin. Gene Simmons provided the coffin because he was such a big fan. It weighs
With one of Eddie Van Halen's guitars.
oh
The
no,
Bumblebee,
no.
right?
Bumblebee. Yeah, not one. The guitar on Van Halen 2, the blue, kind of blue black with yellow, that guitar is in the coffin. And from what Zach Wilde says, about 100 bottles of Crown Royal. Because his big drink was called a Black Tooth Grin from the Megadeth song. And a Black Tooth Grin is Coke and Crown Royal.
Get Jay on rock and roll and he just goes.
wow.
Be ready
So-
for the afterlife. Pack early.
I wonder what
That's what
he
they
died
said.
from.
At some point, he's
if
going to
he
get
had
thirsty.
100 bottles of whiskey. I
Oh,
wonder
it
what
had
he-
to be. And what's sad is
Was,
somebody
it,
just
was
put,
it the liver?
it had to be. They just put up a TikTok of going to the cemetery in Arlington, Texas, and there's a fence around Vinnie Paul and Dimebag's graves. I've got video and photos of when I went there about 5 or 6 years ago. And there was no fence. Like I stood between the two graves. You could get into the two.
Yeah, it's preventative now. They don't want anybody to do anything stupid,
Yeah, but what
defile a
it-
grave
that's,
site. Yeah.
that's the thing. I mean, I left a guitar pick and quick prayer and off I went. And there was no way to find it. They're flat tombstones. There's no signage. And when the Uber picked me up, he goes, is everything, I'm really sorry. You were in a cemetery. I'm like, no, I went over to see Dimebag and Vinny's graves. Really? Where are they? Everyone asks about them. I'm like, oh, they're like over there to the left. He goes, how'd you find them? I said, I've been walking around it for like 20 minutes. And I went to a bar that night and the guy's like, get a drink. And I played Pantera on the jukebox. He comes over and I'm kind of, he goes, you play this? I said, yeah. He goes, man, great guys. I take out my phone. He goes, drinks on me. Because I had a photo of their tombstone. I was like, whoa. I've tried that in other cities. It does not work.
Does
I
it?
was
Check it out.
yeah.
Pantera.
Texas only.
So what?
I'll leave it alone. I'll leave it alone.
Free booze, dude. Free booze.
I got nothing on this one.
I'm like, yeah, this is a good end of the night story. People go, okay. Really
Yeah,
time
nice.
for me to
Thanks,
go. I
Jay.
got work in the morning.
I can't help myself. I mean, I was in Paris. I walked past the cemetery where Jim Morrison's in.
Did you go to the grave?
Right.
No, why? He's dead. He's not going to
No,
sing
but it's
this
a
song.
thing. It's a thing for yourself. You don't go.
No,
I went to
it's
Jimi
all-
Hendrix
not for me.
Seattle.
It's not
dead.
for me.
You're
It's
dead.
not for me. He's dead. And
Dead.
the pictures I've seen, there's graffiti all over those tombstones.
Not
And
Hendrix.
the bust
Hendrix
is all
really nice.
jacked up. And
Yeah, the one
Yeah.
for Jim Morrison is pretty messed up. The one for
It is.
Hendrix in Seattle. First time I went to Seattle, I wanted to see the Space Needle, Pike Place, where Starbucks started, Sub Pop Records, and the Jimi Hendrix Memorial. And I did all of them within 1 hour. And I'm like, that's it. I'm back in the hotel watching like Tattletales on TV. Like,
see, Jay
great.
makes an effort to see them live and dead.
And dead.
see? Hey, where else are you gonna go?
You know what? I've got one hand, and today I'm a better guitar player than Eddie Van Halen is today.
Oh, we're getting mail now.
That's
Oh,
true.
we're getting mail now.
We're getting mail.
John Young at whatever you want to put.
I'm a
Go
better
ahead.
singer today than Freddie Mercury is today.
Oh, ho, ho, ho. Wow. Somebody's
happened.
taken that Kiss history of yours pretty seriously. Mr.
Mm.
Gates in service over here.
I'm telling you.
Jeez. Wow.
See, I tried to not say stuff, but I got brain damage and I can't help it. It just comes.
Oh, there you go. You got to weigh out. That's right.
You got to weigh out.
You got to weigh out.
No
You throw
filter.
a frisbee at the back of somebody's head, you go stroke. Oh, I'm so sorry.
Take a sledgehammer to somebody's new car. Oh, sorry, stroke brains.
Yeah.
It
Pull that card if you need to.
Hey, man, work what you got. Work what you got.
There you go.
Oh, you
Well,
can
kids, it was fun, and
It was a lot of laughs.
it was weird, like always.
Yeah.
And
That's
if you
what we're here for.
if you actually come back and watch these shows every week because you enjoy them, you're a better person than I am. I can barely watch the replays of these damn things. But thank you for
Maybe you
watching.
should like do a guitar challenge with Brian. We could air that sometime.
Yeah, if you're dead, and I'm happy to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
Brian
I'm
can do better
saying-
calculus than Einstein now too.
Yes. Yes.
Brian, after the show, we're going to go off air. Brian's going to explain the whole Pythagorean theorem and all that.
We're gonna leave it alone. I don't know it, and I'm still better. 2 + 2 is 8. See, I'm still better.
See?
Thanks, guys. We'll see you next week if John doesn't fire us.
Good night, all.